Hello, welcome to Open Conversations with Frederick Ide. Wherever you might be across the globe, I'd like to bid you welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. I would be beginning my series of discussions around African culture and tradition. In this series, we will be paying serious attention, in-depth attention to critical aspects of tradition, whether the vexed aspect of it or the very friendly aspect of African culture and tradition. We will run across make some fair comparison between the African culture and the Western culture as we know them. Today I have with me on the studio one who is quite an authority, if you would, in the subject of culture and tradition. He is also a chief. He's a chief from the Irrua community of Esa in Edo State. Please welcome, I guess, Chief Nicholas Kakulu, the what of help me?
The Ine of Irrua.
The Ine of Irrua, beg your pardon. So, Chief, let's meet you.
Thank you. It's nice to be on the program. My name is Chief Nicholas Kakulu. I'm the Ine of Irrua. And I've been in that position now for 23 years. 23 years, going on to 24. I became a chief in 1999. And I've held that position ever since. It's traditional, it's not honorary. So it's like what they say in my place, Obama they go transfer. There's no transfer, there's nothing I can do about it. We're just there.
It's traditional. You want to make a clear distinction between traditional and honorary?
Yeah. For anybody can be a chief. If anybody on the street that has made his mark, whether in business, whether in academics, whether politically, in whatever sphere of life they've made their impact. Once the palace feels that these ones have made a mark and they are deserving to be recognized, they can be given a chieftaincy title. Those ones are called honorary titles. They really have no part in the things that goes on in the palace. But not that they don't have things that goes on in the palace, there are certain things, there are certain duties that they are not assigned to. But the traditional is from father to son.
Inherited.
It's inherited. It's not something, it's in my family. It's not something that you take out and give to another person. No, it's not like that.
So how does the inheritance trickle down to the first, second, third son?
The first one. The first surviving son. When a chief dies, his first son stands in his stead to inherit him. But that cannot be until he has done the father's final burial ceremonies. After the burial ceremonies, then His Highness is now obliged to appoint him the position the father used to be.
That subject of burial ceremony is something that I hope that we'll have time to talk about some other time. But let me throw a hint. Now, should the first son, for any reason, is not able to perform the burial ceremony of his father, what happens to that one? He doesn't do it.
If the first son does not do the burial ceremony of the father, then the position is left vacant. The position is vacant until he's able to do the burial ceremony of the father. And if he passes, because I know that's where you probably will go.
Absolutely.
If he passes without doing his father's burial ceremony, it goes to, in fact, this is the title. When a first son does not do the burial ceremony of the father, he has not inherited his estate. he cannot be said to have inherited his estate. Until he does that burial ceremony, he cannot inherit the estate. So once that man is gone and his son does not do the burial ceremony, he passes in the process. The estate now passes on to the next in line, the second son, who now becomes the head of the family. And if that one also does not do what he's supposed to do, maybe he goes through all the sons like that, they all die, and they don't do their father's burial ceremony, he comes back to the first son's oldest son to carry out his burial. Now the oldest, that is the deceased first son, the deceased first son, the first son of that deceased, that one will not, before he can even do his father's burial, he will have to first carry out his grandfather's burial, who is the original holder of the title, before doing his father's burial, before he can qualify to become a chief. So it's very expedient that once a man dies, once a chief dies, the son does the burial. In those days, it used to be...
Chief, hold on a moment. By chance, that first son, now not surviving, he didn't have a child. What happens?
It goes to the second son.
If the second son was a female, what happens? If the second child, I beg your pardon, was a female?
Females don't take traditional titles. They have started giving them honorary titles now, but not traditional title. If the second child is a female, it goes to the third child, who is the next male.
He doesn't have, it's in one scenario where he doesn't have
a male child.
Yes.
Then it will now have to be the deceased younger brother.
Oh.
The younger brother of the deceased.
Now, let's situate it. You are from Irrua.
Yes.
Right? That's in Eastern land. Does this, would you be speaking for the Irrua in particular, or you are speaking for the entire Island? Does that apply across?
As far as I know, this culture does not cut across only the Eastern people. The Benin is where we originate from, because across them, and all of them. Our line of inheritance, once a king is born, you know him. Once a king is born, you know him. God sparing his life. You know who the next king is going to be. It's not like you have in the Yoruba land, some other place, where it's democracy.
Yeah.
Where we come from, once a king is born, you know. Once a traditional chief is born, you know him.
But Chief, it sounds a bit simple, the way you're saying. It sounds like
it's very simple.
But no, but when you know that across this land that you and I hail from, we've had the stool being disputed. Series of them. We can name them. See, if it's as simple as you say, but maybe I shouldn't get into that part in this episode. Maybe that's not the part I want to. I didn't intend to get into inheritance as such. I wanted to speak about. I wanted to speak in this episode. I wanted to speak more about festivals.
Okay.
Festivals. Yes, that's why I wanted us to get to.
The reason is being simply we are that season. Usually between the August and then September.
Yes.
It's like a festive period.
Yes.
And I'm particular about the New Yam Festival.
Okay.
Now. The New Yam Festival. Okay. Now, I wanted to know why and what you think about the New Yam Festival. But before I also go there is this point. You are a chief. You are also a Christian.
Yes.
So how a chief, what are you doing with, is there a parity relationship between a Christian and being a chief? In the chiefdoms, so to speak, I understand that there are quite a few rituals that are performed. Help me understand how a Christian can function as a chief, traditional.
Thank you for this question. Matter of fact, it's a misconception that is out there amongst our people, even amongst my people. That's why when I was going to be invested as the Ine of Irrua, I had a brother there, had my brother there who was not supposed to be there. And I told the people that I wanted him to be present. They said, why? I said, I needed him to be present. I needed him to see what I'm doing. And then my wife was outside. They said my wife could not be in the place. And I said, no, I wanted my wife to be there. So my wife was there.
Where is it there?
Where I was being invested.
Okay.
It was not in the open where everybody was.
Okay.
So I told them that I met my wife to be there. They said, no, a woman is not supposed to be there.
Was that around the king's arena?
In Irrua, the way chiefs are invested, they don't come to the palace to be invested in the palace.
Oh, okay.
He has representatives that he sends to your place.
Okay.
They come to your house to invest you, and then by the time they are done, they present you to the people before you now pay homage to His Highness in the palace.
Well, that's different from where I come from.
Yes, well, that's what happened where I was.
Yeah.
And while we were in that place, when they didn't want my wife to come into the room where we were, I told them that my wife had the purse. That you guys have mentioned just now that I was going to be spending some money. He said, yes. I said, my wife has the purse. He said, okay, in that case, she can come in. The reason my wife had the purse was deliberate. I wanted my wife to witness what I was going to go through. I wanted my brother to witness what I was going to go through, so that tomorrow, nobody will come up and say, this was what happened. Or maybe when I tell them, this was what I went through, nobody will be in doubt as to what I went through. I did not have to go through any ritual to be a chief.
Okay.
His Highness, the Ine of Irrua, Alhaji W. Momodu II, and the Okadison of Eastern Land, does not pass his chiefs through stuff like that. He's a devout Muslim. He does not do such things. So I didn't go through any ritual. That being said, many people out there, they confuse this Christianity thing with chieftaincy. They say,
so one moment, please.
yes.
Are there places around, because we're settled around the Islam, culture and traditions right now? Are there places where you think that it is possible that they go through rituals that will compromise their Christian faith if they are Christian?
Well, I have not been a chief. I've not been invested with a chieftaincy outside of Irrua.
Okay.
So I cannot speak for them.
That's fine.
I cannot speak for them. But again, too, modernity is coming in every day now. Modernity is all over the place. And culture, as you and I know, is dynamic. It's not static. We look at culture, the things that are favorable to us, we keep. The ones that we feel are not favorable to us, the ones we feel are repugnant, we take out. Yeah. So it's not a one cap fits all.
Yeah, I'll come to that at some point. Yeah, the issue of culture and how it passes repugnancy test and all in our present age. We'll come to that. I hope you would oblige me when we get to all those times at that time.
I hope we are able to. I hope we are able to. And you're asking me to disclose certain things I'm not supposed to disclose.
There seems to be a lot to talk about.
Yes.
So you were talking about you were still on the what was that point?
You asked me about how come I'm a Christian, I'm a chief, and they talk about when a chief is being invested, he has to go through ritual and the rest of them. That's what you were talking about, and I just disabused your mind that I didn't go through any ritual to be a chief. I know about me. I know about where I come from. What happens elsewhere, I cannot tell. Then, when you talk about a Christian cannot be a chief, and I wonder where that is coming from. Where that is coming from.
It's coming from
It's a place of ignorance. I say it's a place of ignorance because if you look at the Bible, Moses in the wilderness was overwhelmed, was getting overwhelmed. Maybe Joshua will come. Joshua will say, Moses, you see, this person has just hit me now. But all of those stuff. He was getting wearied. The idea to raise 70 elders was not a godly idea. It was not God that told Moses, raise 70 elders in the wilderness. It was the father-in-law that told him, this people will wear you out. Want to appoint some people that will be in charge of these people. They became chiefs of the people, the elders of Israel. So being a chief, traditionally, you see, I tell my people that the Isha man was in the mind of God from creation. Yes, because we are complete. We are complete. God knows that we will definitely have a system of administration. A chief is nothing other than a political head for His Highness.
A political head for His Highness.
Yes, because as it were, before the advent of democracy, before the advent of the white man, we had kingdoms, monarchies. The king was in his eguare, as we call it in Isha. He will be in his eguare.
That's the
headquarters of the administrative headquarters of the king. He has to administer his territory through people. And the chiefs were the heads of these different quarters where he needs his administration to permeate to the local people. So if the locals there had issues, if there was any dispute, if there was anything, your first port of call is the chief. You go meet the chief to settle your issues, whether it was land matters, whether it was boundary dispute, whatever it was, husband and wife, people going through divorce, two individuals fighting, thieves in the community. It was the chief's own to resolve. When he could not resolve it, he now referred the matter to the palace of the king. So when they now look at the chieftaincy as if it's something that is idolatrous, I wonder where they get that idea from.
That will bring me to the subject of...
Excuse me, please.
Yeah.
You and I also see it these days by in our churches. Let me use the Redeemed for example. The head of the Redeemed Church, the Redeemed Christian Church of God, he's in Redemption City. But you have a Redeemed Church in Ohodua. Don't you have it in Ohodua yet?
We do. Yeah, we do.
You have. Is there a pastor there?
Yeah, there is.
Whose interest is he perpetuating there? Is it the interest of the Redeemed Church in that place? He is the head. He's the representative of the GO in that place, right? So he's like a chief. He's like a chief too.
No, but chief, I think that you're making me feel like those who make arguments who tend to stand against Christians being chief, you're making me feel like they don't have a point.
They don't have.
I don't think so. Because in the traditional setting, there are occasions where rituals are performed and all of that. Like they say, like the argument that they make when it comes to festivals, traditional festivals, right? That they say that because there are rituals that are performed, that are seldom or often performed, during these festivals, the Christians should not be found participating in such festival. For instance, the New Yam Festival in my place, sometime in October, we will be celebrating the New Yam Festival that we call Abukwe.
Okay.
I think it's generally called...
They call it Ihua in my place. In Irrua, they call it Ihua.
Okay. We will be... at this point, I think that I need to take a little bit of break. Now, this conversation is open, very open. As you can see, it's open conversations. We just want to make sense. This is like setting an agenda for an open discussion on all the issues that we'll be talking about, whether on YouTube, whether on Facebook, whether on Instagram. I'd like to get your response time to time. I'll be right back. So welcome back to Open Conversations with Frederick Ideri. As you, if you've been following me, I've had a guest on the studio, Chief Kakulu, Nicholas Kakulu from Irrua. He's also the Ine of Irrua. We were on the subject of traditional festivals in our communities. We were also, but I was particularly concerned about the New Yam Festival called the Iwe in Eastern Land. From where I come from, you probably call it, if you want to particularize, you call it the Abukwe Festival. So, Chief, what do you think about Christianity and New Yam and the festivals? Festivals generally, how does a Christian involve or not involved in traditional festival? Well, we can take it from what is the New Yam Festival?
Well, the New Yam Festival is a festival where to tell the people is like in the Bible we call it first fruits or something. First fruits, feast of harvest. If you go to Leviticus, I think 23 or so, you see so many feasts that are listed there. That was the tradition of the Israelites. Just as we also have our own tradition, that when you begin to farm, and then there will be a time when they say, okay, the things from the farm, the proceeds from the farm, the produce from the farm, this is the time we now say officially, yes, we are now into harvest, so we want to bring the first fruits to do whatever we choose to do. People talking about it, not that being a pagan, maybe that's what you're trying to tell me. That is a pagan or is a ritual, it's a ritual.
Yeah.
It is not. It is not. Like I just mentioned now, in Leviticus 23, it talks about so many festivals. Our festival of first fruits, our festival of...
but those were in the Old Testament.
They were in the Old Testament.
So I don't that apply to the New Testament.
The New Testament.
So we know that...
if there is no old, can there be a new?
But Jesus...
It's not like you hear people say, they say, I'm the Ine of Irrua one. If there is no two, there can't be a one. So if you're talking about a New Testament, there was first an old one before there is a new.
If the Old Testament was perfect, why was there a need for a New Testament?
Well, he came to perfect it. Okay. See, the old, even Christ himself said, or the Bible says that the letter killeth, the spirit maketh alive. These things that were written in the Old Testament, those are the letters. There were things in the back, in the mind of God, the back of the mind of God, things that he wanted to actualize, that he just could not, man just could not see that vision and then actualize just like that. And then, like the 10 Commandments. Are you saying that some of our people who were already here before the 10 Commandments came, before Christ came, they are all going to hell? It's not true. He says that for people like that, the laws of God were first written in their hearts. The laws of God are written in the hearts of man. So when he sees that you are not even paying attention to the things, to the urges of your heart, that's when God said to put a law. It must be like this, it must be like that, it must be like that. And then when God saw that we could not obey the law just like that, he brought Christ to come and help us fulfill that law, because he said that our righteousness, even in complying with that 10 Commandments, is like 50 racks in his sight. So he brought Christ in to help us. Let me finish. The New Yam Festival is no different from the Feast of Harvest that they have. Even the Catholic Church, they do harvest. So but
are you aware, Chief, that during these festivals, there are times where they do what they call a robo. Is that how it is said in your place? They perform some rituals, you know. Are you aware that it does occur like that? For instance, let's even cast our minds a little bit to what we see in the Igbo culture, for instance. I'm going to have an Igbo, you know, fellow be here at some point when we'll draw some kind of comparisons. Now, in the New Yam Festival, somewhere in Anambra, somewhere in the East, you for what we see on our Nollywood movies, you see how some of their festivals are performed. There's some appear like ritual aspect of it.
Let me quickly tell you, my chief.
Chief, let me put it this way. How is it? How do you want to just run us through briefly on how?
No, I cannot run you through the entire process right now, but what I can tell you here is that culture is not stagnant. Culture is progressive. It is dynamic. There are certain things that we do or we used to do in our culture that didn't pass through pregnancy tests. They were dropped.
Okay.
And then we are moving forward.
Okay.
The truth of the matter really is that when people say they talk about no, we don't do burial, we forbid it in church, we don't do festival, we don't. At what point are you going? At what point are you now going to infiltrate this devilish culture, so to speak?
If you
devilish,
devilish
in quote. How are you going to ever infiltrate them to tell them what is right? That was the thing that I was faced with when I became the chief, when I was about to become the chief. How do I marry both? I said, but because it was my birthright, I had to embrace it. Coming into chieftaincy, immediately I finished, His Highness told them that it didn't matter what position I was in the age grade, that he should take me to the elders. I should be among the elders. That was exactly what happened. I'm an elder where I come from. And there are some old men who refuse to be elders because they are afraid that when you become an elder, death is knocking at the door. But I've been an elder now for 23 years, and I'm still here. What is the key? I sit down with elders, and they deliberate on certain things. And after
are you saying that you're taking me somewhere that I intended to get to some point? Myth in African culture, like you just mentioned, that once you're at that age, there's this belief about, you will get age fast if I got what you said earlier.
No, they say in Ishan there are 3 age grades. You have the Egbonogele, you have the Igene, then you have the Edions.
Yeah.
Most elders will rather stay in the Igene. They want to become an Odion because they say when you become an Odion, that the scepter of death has been put in your house. When you become an Odion, you must know the words that comes out of your mouth. You must know there are certain things that you are told to forbid.
As an Odion.
As an Odion.
By the way, Chief, what's the relationship? Maybe by way of further explanation, what's the relationship between the chief and the Ojegbe? Okay. Who is there in the hierarchy?
They are different. They are different. The Ojegbele is the oldest man in the community. The chief, like I mentioned before, is just a political head.
Okay.
He's the political head.
So what are their responsibilities, distinct responsibilities?
They work hand in hand.
Okay.
In my father's time, my father was the oldest man, was the Ojegbele, and also had been a chief even before he became an Ojegbele. He was Ojegbele for 10 years before he died. So both positions came together with him.
Yeah, okay.
So it was easier to move the community forward. With me, I have to consult, the Ojegbele, if he's going to do anything, if there's anything happening, he talks with me. I talk with him about how we can move the community forward.
Your position is complementary.
It's complementary. It's complementary.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think that we've had quite a conversation today. We can't exhaust all the conversations on one fell swoop. So I'd like to invite you to stay on these channels. We would be, by the way, if you have, if you're sure you have, you can hold the conversations around African culture and tradition, whether you are from Esan, from Edo, from the East, wherever you are, I'd like to invite you for a chat, today, and see if we can have you be part of my panel of discussion, if you would. Chief, it does appear that we will have to continue this conversation.
My pleasure.
Final word. There is Christianity is not offensive to tradition. Tradition is not offensive to Christianity.
When we talk about tradition, you can't say they are not offensive. There are of course, those of them who have fears that there are some things in tradition that may mortgage their Christian values. They are not totally wrong. But it's just like I mentioned before, culture is dynamic. It needs you to come in and point it out to them. These things that we do, why do we do them? Get into their mind. Why do we do them? They will explain it to you. After they have explained to you, you can now come up with a superior argument. And I sat down with some of my elders, and we sit down, we talk about some of these things, and they say, Chief, when I start, I tell them, please, I want to put in a child's word. They say, no, we are not a child. We always listen to whatever you want to say. By the time I have to, you say, Chief, this one that you have said makes a lot of sense. We will do it this way. That's the way to go. That's the way to go.
So we should be involved in the...
We should be involved. You can't see. Look at the chick. The proverbial egg. How does the chick come out of the egg? It doesn't matter how much the hen loves the chick to come out of the egg. It cannot use its own beak to help the chick to crack the egg. The egg has to crack it by itself. To change, to set up a revolution or to put a revolution into any place, you have to be a part of that system. When you stay apart and from apart, you are not telling people, this is how you are supposed to do it. They look at you as if, who the hell do you think you are?
You're looking for my trouble, and I would like to give a bit of it to you. You have to be involved. Are you involved in politics of your place?
I am involved in politics already.
What do you think about the Edo State?
Well, I have not. I have not read any report. I know they have conducted the election. I'm involved in politics in the sense that I am the chief. I'm a political head traditionally. I have people that are under me that are APC, some are PDP.
Chief, do you believe in the agenda? What has been described as the Eastern agenda, the struggle?
I sure do. I sure do. I sure do. I sure do. No man can clap with only one hand.
Ladies and gentlemen, I bid you farewell for today. We'll have this conversation next time. Just click on my YouTube channel or wherever you might be watching from, whether on your Facebook. Please do subscribe and then hit on the notification button. Thank you for watching. This is Open Conversations with Frederick Ide Henry.